Hello and welcome to Neyland Stadium. I'm Ryan Sylvia. This is Noah Taylor. We are with VolReport.com on the Rivals Network. In Tennessee, just got itself a big win, 45-14 over UTSA, a good bounce back after a disappointing showing in the Swamp the week prior. Got off to a good start. Let's talk about it. Start on the offensive end. Noah, what was your takeaway on offense?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Dylan Sampson, the guy who didn't get any carries last week. We got to talk to him after. Seemed to handle that really well this week. Came out here today and set a career high in rushing yards, 139. Paced Tennessee, a really good day for this running backs room after a kind of a disappointing performance last week. 303 yards for them, and obviously Dylan Sampson was the leader. Came out today, had 2 touchdowns, got an early one there, and then broke one off later. I think averaged over 12 yards a carry. So a really big day for him. And afterwards, getting to talk to him, kind of gave us a little bit of insight of how he handled this week and said he understood that that's a deep room. There was maybe a little bit of disappointment there not being able to get into the game, but handled that really well. Leaned on those 2 leaders in that room, the veterans, Jabari Small and Jalen Wright, and obviously came out here and was a big part of this Tennessee offense today on a really good first quarter, really good offensive performance for Tennessee.
Yeah, so it was one of those situations where you're disappointed you didn't get a play, but didn't take it personally because it wasn't a personal decision, and kind of took the week like he normally does and went from there, and obviously paid off for him tonight. Let's talk about the quarterback position, though. Joe Milton playing pretty much the entire game despite a little bit of a scare of an injury at one point. He says he's fine, that it kind of scared him when he took the hit, but once he got up, started walking around, he felt okay. But overall, a really good game from Joe Milton, at least through the first 2 quarters, heading into halftime, right before that injury, or with the injury happening right before halftime. His stat line was really impressive. Yeah. He looked really sharp. He was hitting receivers. He ran very well. Of course, that 81-yard touchdown to start things off. So a really, really solid night for Joe Milton. You look at his stat line, of course, I just mentioned the rushing, 94 yards total, and that touchdown. Passing the ball, though, 18 for 31, 209 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Took just 1 sack. Cooled down in the second half. In the third quarter, they went to more of the ground game as he kind of had a cold streak in the middle there. But overall, a really solid night from Joe Milton. I think he responded very well. And then also talking about his wide receivers, got in some younger guys as well. Caleb Webb, Chaz Nimrod were able to get in and kind of make an impact. On the defensive end, though, what was your biggest takeaway?
Yeah, it was kind of a bounce back performance for them as well after, missing some tackles against Florida, missing on some opportunities there. Played well for the most part. The third quarter, I think, is one that they would like to have back when UTSA was able to get things going and kind of cut into Tennessee's lead there. But 3 takeaways today, 2 coming in the secondary, which would have to be big for those guys after last week. Warren Burrell gets a pick late. Tamari McDonald gets one that leads to a score, a field goal there before halftime. And then Caleb Herring, a young guy, you just mentioned them doing that on offense, getting those young guys in there. Defense was able to get some of that as well. Probably what we would have expected against Austin Peay, but you do get to do it against the UTSA, and Caleb Herring's a young guy, comes in there, makes an immediate impact, strips the ball, and it's recovered by Austin Lewis. So really good day for those guys outside of that third quarter, but you come away with 3 takeaways. That's got to be a big confidence booster for those defense.
Needed to win the turnover battle, did it in a resounding way. Really only the turnover for Tennessee was on the Cam Seldon punt situation where he kind of inexplicably jumped on the ball, ended up giving the ball back to UTSA. So none really on the offensive end for Tennessee turnover-wise, and forced 3 on defense. Of course, you're going to take that. Defense also had a similar game path to maybe what Joe Milton did, where it started really well. By halftime, UTSA with 0 points, and then give up 2 touchdowns on the first 2 drives of the third quarter. So they cooled down as well, responded after that, though. Those 14 points were the only points that UTSA were given throughout the night. Like I said, overall, another positive where you see what Joe Milton was able to do positive. You see what this defense, who was able to rotate guys in like he just was able to do, and I think you take away another positive from that. To wrap things up, let's touch on special teams, though. Jackson Ross, kind of the guy getting the most blame at first this season. A really solid game from him punting the ball. Another guy, Josh Turbyville, on the kickoffs, getting a little bit of the blame. He did a good job as well, keeping his kicks in bounds. Charles Campbell missed on a long field goal, one that he probably once back expects to make, and of course the coaching staff has a lot of trust in him, but wasn't able to connect on that one. So slightly disappointing. But then the biggest issue on special teams, of course, comes on the play we just talked about in Cam Seldon. Josh Heupel says that that's not a learning experience you want to have to go through, but it was a learning experience, and they feel like they can move forward from it, and that they will be in good hands going forward. Seldon, of course, played the rest of the special team snaps throughout that game as well. And also on a fourth down, UTSA went for it. Tennessee stepped up, made a good stop. So special teams had its issues, but also I think overall, again, it's just like the other aspects we talked about. There's issues, there's things you need to correct. But overall, if you look at all the aspects, I think it was a positive night. But I'll do it for us here from Neyland Stadium. Make sure you head over to VolReport.com and check out all of our written content. We'll have some great stuff on the way on Joe Milton's first run of the game, on Dylan Sampson's big night, and more throughout the week as they prepare to get their second SEC game under their belt with South Carolina coming to Knoxville. Should be an interesting one to see how Tennessee does. Of course, an emotional one after what happened in South Carolina last year. We'll see if Tennessee can turn it around. But thank you guys for watching. Links to everything in the news in the description. Thanks for watching.